Well, a number of the nation's most prominent resources figures told an Asian energy conference in Perth today that the carbon tax could jeopardise Australia's relations in the region. But in Victoria, the head of one of the bigger polluters was more accepting. Hamish Fitzsimmons reports.
In Perth, the new tax was on the mind of one of Australia's most powerful figures at the Boao Regional Energy Conference. Mining and now media player Gina Reinhardt says staying competitive and maintaining good relations in the region isn't going to be helped by a carbon tax.
To do that, we have to keep ourselves earning that position. We have to keep ourselves cost competitive. Things like MRRT and carbon tax hurt.
The mining state's premier agrees and says supply to resources-hungry neighbours mustn't be compromised.
That has been to some extent jeopardised over the last year or so. I hope now we can have stability in the relationship. That is what the Chinese, the Japanese, the Koreans and the Indians are looking for.
Airlines were also quick to react to the news that the tax would apply to aviation fuel on domestic routes. Qantas, Virgin and Rex all said any costs from the carbon tax will be passed on to the consumer and fares will rise. And in Victoria, one of the companies that will certainly be affected by the tax was more circumspect.
There's certainly some good aspects to it that provide us with some early levels of certainty in the earlier years or in the fixed price period. And then obviously there's some concerns about what happens post that.
Loy Yang Power generates a third of the state's electricity with its 2,200 megawatt station in the Latrobe Valley, which is fed by its adjacent brown coal mine. It's one of the companies that will receive federal money to offset the effects of the tax, and its chief executive believes the station will make the leap from coal to gas and renewable technologies, but that it won't be easy or cheap.
I think it will be very difficult, if not impossible, to implement those technologies at a commercial scale without having significant assistance from state, federal governments and industry alike.
And for those literally at the coalface in this era of transition, like Loy Yang mine worker Neville Darragh, the future is an uncertain one. He's seen the privatisation of Victoria's power industry in the 1990s, which led to an increase in unemployment and depression in the region.
After that, we sat back and we watched the valley crumble. We had massive problems here because once people's livelihoods went away, stable families then become unstable. We went right down the track where suicides went through the roof.
And while there's pessimism, there is still hope.
The valley has got a future in different areas that hopefully maybe my grandkids might get a chance of getting a job and all the other people around the area, because even though it's a bit of a wet, cold place, it's not a bad place to live.
Hamish Fitzsimmons, Lateline.